Rudy Giuliani with America's Mayor Live and live from Manchester, New Hampshire. And we'll be covering a lot tonight, but I guess I don't know. You got to begin with the exclamation point at the beginning of the trial, right? Just at the beginning of the not so much the trial as the selection of the final juror, right? So at the selection of the final juror, just at about the same time, right outside the courthouse, in a garden, little garden they have, their public kind of garden that I have there, they somebody put himself on fire. Okay, why? Well, we don't know why at this point. Um, he he seems to have been a guy, if I have it correctly here, that came up from Maryland to do this. We don't know. He did leave. He did leave a manifesto, which he tore up into pieces and left it all around where the fire was. And the cops have read little pieces of it, and he obviously was upset about something. We don't know exactly what he was upset about, but the he was taken off to the burn unit. He was in fact seriously injured, um, and the seriousness of it. I guess we're going to have to see exactly what that was. Well, sorry, we had a little interruption in front of the camera. Excuse us. A little interruption, but we'll get back. And the it does not look like he had a particular clear, obvious connection to one issue or the other that you would see with the trial. In other words, was he there because of the persecution of Trump and self-immolation over the persecution of Trump, or was he there because of the argument that the fascists make that Trump is some kind of a dictator or a fascist or some such thing? But no indication yet that that is the case. On the other hand, there are an awful lot of other people, obviously not as mentally deranged as this man, who would like to put themselves on fire over this. I sure would, because it's a destruction and a very, very tragic destruction of the American political system. The judge is a man who should go down in the history of Anglo-American law as an enormously weak man who can't seem to control his emotions and his completely distorted pathological emotion. This is there couldn't be a clearer case of a man who has to recuse himself because he has such very, very strong feelings against this defendant. Whatever else you think of this case, if you really believe he can be fair, you can't be fair. You can be kind of a good judge for yourself as to whether or not you've lost over Trump derangement syndrome balance in your personality. But the court requires and the law requires that a judge, no matter who the defendant is, has to be able to be fair. The law also recognizes that all people at all times cannot achieve that objective or even the appearance of that objective. And therefore, the law requires a judge to take himself out of the case if that's the case. This requires a judge of a minimum degree of integrity. In other words, a judge who can say to himself, can I be fair? I can't, and takes themselves off. You notice that some of these jurors, which could be considered very healthy, could also be considered very, very dangerous. It took a day for them to realize they would be unfair. One of them, I think, had to get caught as a prior criminal. I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure if she turned herself in uh, uh, and got caught or not, because there is a place on the juror card that talks about convictions. And I don't think it was filled out that way. And then they found out and they had to drop her because she and her husband both had a record. And I think she also had some pretty strong, I think. Um, if she filled it out and they let her stay on, then they're really, I mean, they're not just prejudiced, they're incompetent. But in any event, the second day they found out she was had a record and they dropped her from the trial. Then another woman came forward and said, she thought it over and now she realizes that she can't be unfair. Several others had done the same thing. Half of them put up their hand at the beginning to say they were unfair. That's a lot of people on a jury pool to say they're unfair. But the one guy in a courtroom that's not unfair is the judge. You think a judge would pass that fairness test the jurors had to pass? Won't let him go to the Supreme Court argument, right? So far, won't let him go to his son's graduation. Tells him if you don't come to court, I'm going to put you in jail. I always thought jurors had people had a right to be at the trial or not. It's my right to a fair trial, not yours, Judge. But in any event, I am running for president, and shouldn't some slight accommodation be made to that? If you want to take the risk of not being here, you don't get a right to take that risk when you balance the campaign against the trial. Because I am demanding, I am commanding, I am dictating that you will be at the trial under pain of imprisonment. Whew. Now, here I'm asking you, whether you think that's right or wrong. It has to be wrong under American law, since it's your right not to be at a trial. He's not unfair. His daughter's making $1 grillion over this trial. She's a professional political activist. She's a professional anti-Trump political activist. That's his grown daughter, with whom he is apparently not only very close, but he donated money to Biden, which kind of indicates he agrees. And I think the wife also has a history of such. So we've got a whole little family that's devoted to defeating Trump. And he's going to decide these very difficult questions on a question of law that so far 3 out of 4 prosecutors have decided wasn't a crime. This only gets about a 1/4 vote from prosecutors. The Justice Department, which is the one that opines on federal crime, has said no. That should have been the end of it. Then Bragg's predecessor said no. Then Bragg said no. Then a big crybaby book was written, and somebody figured maybe I can do something with this and fit it in with the other 3 and keep this guy busy so we can stop him from going to trial. And he brought the case. So, I mean, there's a lot there for a judge to decide. If 3 prosecutors at different times without pressure decided this wasn't a case, in fact, to the extent that it's not a crime, there should be kind of a pretty good argument where you should have an open mind to that. Think he's got an open mind to that? Of course he doesn't. That's how this is a prostitution of American law. And therefore, if there were anybody old enough to remember being at the Nazi show trials or the Stalin show trials, it would look something like this, minus maybe some of the physical violence, if they had physical violence. Although outside the courtroom today with a guy burning himself, that could have kind of substituted for that. We begin on Monday with the opening statement, and looks like a rushed trial. I think he will not allow Trump to do anything discretionary. I think he will allow the prosecutor to do every unfair thing imaginable. His objective here and the orders from the party are get him convicted. We don't give a damn if it gets reversed or not. Be the same thing as the governor of, we did this before. It'll be the same thing as what Smith did to the governor of Virginia. They got a guy here who can actually train him. He's played out this plot before. Convict somebody unfairly, very unfairly, so unfairly that the Supreme Court reverses it 9-0. But make sure you get the timing right. Convict him before the election. Then he gets vindicated after the election. And then he ain't no governor or president. And you get your slaw in, huh? You get your reprobate criminal in. I think in that case, they got McAuliffe in. Fits that pretty good, right? I mean, I'm not the guy selling a Lincoln bedroom. I don't know if that makes you a criminal or not, but it sure makes you. And then the one that thinks that parents, he's the one that thinks parents shouldn't have anything to do with the education of their children. So that'd bring you over to the Marxist side. So let's say a Marxist of questionable ethics. That's who you stole the election for. And you stole it because you prosecuted a man in a way that not even the liberal Democrat judges could uphold. 9-0, and it largely was because you were an unethical, disgraceful prosecutor, which I guess Garland knew when he picked you to handle the two main Trump cases. Then he farmed out to Bragg. They worked on him. He had already been against the case. And then they got Fannie the Hoe, who obviously will do anything for money, fame, and glory, and to up her campaign fees. In addition to taking all that private money, and in addition to taking money from her campaign funds, which he admitted on the stand, but nobody pays attention to because she's a Democrat, she also racked up all kinds of campaign contributions from people all around the country in honor of her vindictive prosecution of Trump. So it's a tight little group, objective, what they accomplished this week, keep him from campaigning. Sure, he can go to Harlem, do that, do a couple other things. But you see what the rallies do for him. Last time they did it with the pandemic. This time they're doing it with a trial because they can't beat him. If he was out there campaigning every day, by the time it's over with the atmosphere the way it is, he'd be ahead by 15 points. And this would be an embarrassing wipeout for probably the most thoroughly corrupt political party in American history, which is what Americans need badly. Well, they're trying to prevent that. So when we come back, we got a bunch of things to look at, including what I have now described as the tail that wags the puppy. That'll be in 1 minute, and I'll explain to you about the tail that wags the puppy.
The new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Welcome back to Rudy Giuliani Live, actually America's Mayor Live. I'm just setting up my little board here, but it's not working. We'll find a place for it. So here's what I want to talk to you about now. Remember, I raised with you as a hypothesis the theory of Sid Rosenberg, who's the morning host on WABC every day, #1 show in New York. Sid is a very, very smart guy, just been in Israel. And Sid had the revelation that the whole first chapter of this, the attack last Saturday, was engineered by the United States, engineered by Biden. Now, certainly capable of doing it. They're corrupt enough to do. My God, it would be one of the more least corrupt things they did. And even in terms of the number of people's lives they would jeopardize, it wouldn't be anywhere near as bad as what they did in Afghanistan or Ukraine. It's killed a lot more people. Let's put it that way. So the question is, did they? And I guess I thought one of the things that pointed to that were not only the incredibly ridiculous long delays. I never heard of rockets that, they virtually had, minute-to-minute coverage of the rocket. It's now crossing the Iraq border. Oh yeah, it's over. Yep. It's no, it's not. It's not going over. It's not going over Kabul. It's kind of the right of Kabul. Yeah. It'll be crossing. It'll be crossing right in that little gap you have in Syria. It just may go south of Syria and be in line for for the Turkish aircraft at the Double X Tower right there, or the Al Town Air Base. They're right next to each other. So there you get a choice if you let people know the Americans could take him down to the south, to the north, and the Turks could take him down. The Jordanians could take him down from the south. And the Jordanians did take some down, and the Americans did take some down, and the Israelis took a whole lot of them down, and I am very proud of them. 99% accurate. We haven't actually heard about the one that wasn't taken down or what damage it did. Now, we know about the girl. She was, I think, collateral damage to their immoral, amoral, usual lying Biden plan. Only an evil man would think up a plan like this. You know, the people who thought up the movie Wagging the Dog, who created a war to try to make a president popular, except it was just a movie. These were like real rockets and real missiles and real drones. And if something went wrong, a lot of people were going to die. A little different, huh? But it was a complete nothing, right? So it becomes a complete nothing either because it was fixed, like the Clay Liston fight by Fat Tony Salerno. In this case, an equivalent RICO racketeering character named Joe Biden, gosh, whose son was a partner with Whitey Bulger's nephew. So they had a certain organized crime connection there. Who knows? Maybe more. Joe's been really around. And then now you have to have a response. I mean, the Israelis have, at some point, they have to let the Israelis in on it, right? Because if you don't let them in on it, they may think they were really attacked. Well, one or two things happened, and I don't know what happened, but one or two things happened to my friend Bibi Netanyahu. He's part of the deal, so all he could do. What did he actually, did the Israelis kill anybody?
I don't believe so.
Or did any Israelis die? Did any Iranians die in the attack on Israel? Whoa. Did any Israelis die on the attack on Israel? You mean we're going to go 0, 0, 0, 0 with these major military attacks, and a poor little 7-year-old Bedouin girl get shrapnel all over herself, and that's it? So, I mean, the series is starting to look good that this is, again, one of the most cynical deals in American and world history that Biden pulled off with the Ayatollah. Well, that would figure. They're I'm not going to say Biden's as bad as the Ayatollah, but at least they're in the same sphere of amorality and unbelievable evilness. One has a lot more than the other, but the other guy stays around long enough. Who knows? But how would Bibi join this? If he does, we've really deteriorated. The response is weird by the Israeli government. They didn't really do anything. This is a typical. This is the thing that Bill Clinton brought to the world by bombing empty fields that helped to give us September 11, because bin Laden thought we were cowards. He didn't know that Bill Clinton's character, thank God, is not the character of the American people. And found out with Bush, whatever you want to say about Bush, you hit my country, I'm going to kick the living daylights out of you. You're not going to be able to come out of that cave for 10 years, pal. You don't think that stopped them? Of course it did. You don't think what they're doing now makes attacks even on a homeland that much more feasible? I mean, Christopher Wray is like driving himself crazy, getting hoarse, telling us we're going to be attacked. Because he knows that when we go back and look at how they got in here, he knew about it all along. Or should have done something about it all along. What the hell's he doing as head of the FBI and letting Biden bring in all the traitors he wants? I mean, 3 years later, you figure out we got all kinds of traitors in the United States that we never had before. Has no connection to the fact that our president's a traitor. I don't know. Sounds pretty good to me. So this thing was like a Hollywood thing. It could be. So then we should call it uh, what?
What's that?
Wag the puppy instead of wag the dog. Wag the pussycat? Want to do wag the pussycat? Huh? What about that? How about wag the rat? You guys are so
I was
think.
I was trying to think of something with corn pop, but I couldn't get it.
Yeah. Hitler be proud of you, boys, including you, Mr. Dictator President. Yeah. Although in your case, he might laugh at you and be proud of whoever is around you, whoever the Wizard of Oz is. That's the one Hitler is proud of. He's the one doing all the accidental killing. Like, why should anybody in Ukraine be dead? Because if you hadn't stolen the election, Trump would have been president and they wouldn't have done it. And the people who doubt that whether Trump would have done it or not are really completely stupid. The guy attacked under Bush, Putin attacked under Obama. Then all of a sudden he takes 4 years off to rest. And as soon as the most cowardly, dishonorable American president in history comes in and he sees complete weakness that he can step over and kick sand in his eye, he does it. So 3 out of 4 presidents he attacks. The only one is Trump. And Trump says, well, gee, we attacked on me. You don't believe him? I believe him. Anybody ever try that with Israel when Trump was there, or even Bush? Let's take Bush. It was very good on Israel. What the hell you think would have happened if he did it under Bush? I know what would have happened, and you do too. And it wouldn't have happened again, and there wouldn't have been the phony war. Bush would have found it morally reprehensible to conduct an activity like that. The reason I'm willing to begin analyzing and accept as possible Sid's theory is because there is nothing that's morally reprehensible to Joseph R. Biden. Nothing, including things about his family. Well, we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to say, is the whole thing gone now? It's going to eventually go, right? The mind, Biden's mind. Are we there where the whole thing is gone? Or are we very close to when it's going to happen? I think we have some insight into that. We'll be back very shortly. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and Pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs, we made two wrong turns, which made it a little bit harder. I must say, credit to Ted, I did sleep in the car a fair amount, not a lot. And then, boy, when we got here, we were tired. He's probably more tired than I am because I didn't. So, you got to make a few excuses. And you've seen this set before. We've been on this set before. So we're going to do a little switcheroo here.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand up. Yeah, here. Well, you knock everything over. Why not just move it like that? Yeah, just like that. Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and Pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnels Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Coming up now, Dr. Maria had a question about our programming because she's being brought in as a relief pitcher here, batting for the New York Yankees. Oh, I better not say that with her here. And I'm so close to Boston, they could kill me. She got red. She got the whole out, and I got a red tie.
Ted got to see
Ted under
some of our T-shirts today, the Red Sox T-shirt.
Yeah, and he was in on it because he just grabbed this tie.
Oh, it is. Those are Red Sox colors.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make no references to baseball. Okay, so, Dr. Maria asked, "Are we going to cover the eating of his uncle?" And because she hadn't seen some of the clips here.
Heard a little.
So let's begin with the.
Tell me about it.
Well, let's begin with the major question, because you're a doctor and you're best on this. Correct me, doctor, if I'm wrong. But with he definitely has dementia now. No,
Yeah.
everybody knows it. I mean,
Yes.
So dementia gets worse.
Right.
Has little respites.
Yep.
And you can use medicine sometimes when it's not too bad to bring people back for short periods. I'm all right about that, right?
There's a few medicines on the market. One called Aricept that is usually more for Alzheimer's patients. It does not cure Alzheimer's, but
Can I start?
Yeah.
Could I start looking okay, and then I'd start screaming, and I'd be like, if I gave a State of the Union speech and I just screamed throughout the speech, would that help?
It's more slowing the progression. So no, that does not help with screaming.
No, I actually thought his screaming was covering his lack of affect. Because if he doesn't scream, right?
It's kind of an odd duck, right?
I
The guy was
know.
always a lifelong liar and plagiarizer.
Well, that's true. All that should they have no soul. Yeah,
We learned corruption, right? You've said many.
Well, he learned corruption 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So he has no soul.
Yeah.
Question is, does he have a brain left? The soul's gone a long time ago.
No. I think the American people have seen with their eyes, listened with their ears, and they are really embarrassed that he is our president. How about being Israel, Netanyahu, and saying, this is the guy that I'm supposed to be partners with?
The guy tells me I can't invade.
Yeah,
And I have to put my people at risk and get them killed more because of him.
yeah.
I can't retaliate. He didn't retaliate. He caved in. He did not retaliate against Iran. That attack last
No,
night.
supposedly many people knew what was coming.
But even if they didn't know,
Yeah.
it was like my going like this.
Yeah. And of course, Iran won't tell us the truth if somebody did die. And they were trying to really downplay it.
Yeah, I
And
guess
the
that's
Ayatollah
true.
came
But
up-
if somebody did,
Yeah.
it was by mistake.
Yeah, right.
I mean, by the way they did.
About the cannibalism thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the cannibalism thing. So let's first of all, let's really
Ed has it.
let us begin with appropriate introductions. This is a very, very serious incident in the Second World War, and when these people in New Guinea, they must be really, they must be like in a jungle. So they must be way back. I had thought that cannibalism ended in New Guinea about 150 years ago, but no, Joe always knows better.
Okay.
Let's listen to Joe.
Should I watch on it?
He became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. And he got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea.
So you don't even know the facts, and you're laughing. That is very disrespectful, Maria.
That's why I try to hold it back. I tried not to be disrespectful.
That's our president. Will you know what you could laugh at before you know the rest of it?
Did he have an uncle?
No, it's a little better than that.
Yeah.
It isn't like the one where he gave the award to the other uncle 5 years after the uncle was dead, and 7 years after his father was dead, and they were both there.
Yeah.
I guess they went to the grave and took them out of the ground and put the metal on them. So in this case, though, before we even get to the actual statement, am I wrong but to say that that speech pattern, when I was a bartender, I wouldn't serve him. No, seriously. If he walked into a bar and he asked me for a drink, talking like that, I'd say, no, come on, pal, you're cut off tonight. Doesn't he sound drunk? Or am I just so unfair to him?
No, it does. If you didn't know anything about him and he was to talk, you may think he's impaired. Yes, I see how.
Now let's check with the United States military. His uncle died in a plane crash. That's true, but it was in the middle of the ocean, and his body was never recovered.
Because
So
it was the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. Well, there is a possibility that the people of New Guinea were fishing and got his body, and they treated it as a fish. It could be that that's true. But today, for the first time ever, the liar in chief right below him, or two below him, the one with the, like this, hold on.
Nancy Pelosi?
Oh, no, KJ Poopy?
Oh,
Yeah.
Karine Jean-Pierre.
KJP.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
KJP.
she was in some kind of like an altercation or something with Steve Ducey.
No.
Are you going to play it?
I don't.
Yeah, she was. No, we'll get it.
Who's
We'll get it.
who's all the time?
We'll get it. Well, she runs errands all the time. She lies her ass off.
Yesterday.
She lies her ass off all the time. That's the errand she runs.
No, I was running errands. That's why I didn't
But
see
this
it.
one, she told the truth.
What happened?
Uncle
Now tell me.
never got eaten by the cannibals.
Okay.
And he was just a little emotional about the great sacrifice his uncle made before he was alive,
Okay.
who I don't think he ever met. It would be hard unless the Bidens know each other before birth. That's possible. We might get that story too.
Yeah.
What did
Yeah.
Curtis tell us?
4 or 5 years before I was born, I met my uncle. What occurred? Curtis told us that he was borrowing a story, as he often does, that most of Biden's insane creations come from some fact that he transposes to make him or his family look more heroic because he has such a terrible self-image. Well, he should have a terrible self-image. He's a terrible man.
Mm.
So he says back in 1961, which I remember, one of the Rockefeller sons, one of the older ones, and one that would inherit a lot of money, I think Michael, if I'm correct,
Michael Rockefeller.
went missing, and it was always alleged that he was eaten by cannibals. Alleged, never proven.
'Cause
So
he
that's probably in Numbskull's head. So he then uses it to try to make. Now, does he think that because his uncle, who died a hero, right? He died, as far as we know, his plane went down in a war. But does he think the fact that his uncle was eaten makes him more of a hero?
I have no idea. Don't know. I don't know. He's always been such a So to me,
That's beyond a pathological.
there's like this weird things with Joe Biden.
What?
So I've known since 1988, as most people did,
Well,
because
that's because you're in
Sam
New Hampshire.
Donaldson and other good reporters called him out when he was running for president, when he continually lied. He said he had multiple degrees. He was first in his class, blah, blah, blah. All of it was a lie. So he was called out. So I've always known that, and most people have known that about Joe Biden. Then we had people in the Obama administration speaking out pretty loudly because they couldn't stand the guy. They thought he was intellectually challenged. And also, a former Obama person, Robert Gates, wrote in his book that Biden was always wrong about foreign policy. So we've always known these kind of things about Joe Biden. But so that we know, but then you pile it on now with the dementia. And as you know, I've always said I thought it was related to his aneurysms, that it's a type of vascular dementia. He had 2 really bad aneurysms that he had repaired, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, it is
Is
dementia.
dementia worse for somebody who all their life is like profoundly stupid?
I don't know if it's worse or not. How can you say it's worse or not?
I mean, do they get it? When they get it, so let's say a very intelligent person can get dementia, right?
Sure.
Person's very intelligent, and then it starts to deteriorate. You're going to notice it less because they're deteriorating a healthy, effective brain. But suppose you're a half-wit like he's always been. Doesn't it take half the time to take apart half a brain? And this is part of the problem. And I really mean this. People who know him had a hard time.
Me asking me this question.
People have a hard time because he's always been such a jackass. I mean, is it possible that 20 years ago he could have told a story like this before he was mentally deranged?
No, you know what?
It's possible.
20 years ago, I think there's people in the media that would have called him out 20 years ago.
Oh my God! Yes, they basically said he should never run for president. Sam Donaldson.
Yep.
Sam Donaldson basically said he was left.
Guy.
He's a lefty, right? He shouldn't want. That was the Bush year, the year that Bush won, Bush 41. He would have loved anybody with Bush, but he's not. But Sam Donaldson and all those people weren't prostitutes. They weren't whores.
No.
Every one of these guys.
It didn't matter whether you're left.
Every one of these guys is
Right,
a tapper. What about tapper? Jesus Christ, Tapper. Why don't you go work in a whorehouse? Well, you do actually. He works for NBC, doesn't he? Wow.
CNN. They're all the same.
No, MSNBC and NBC are the same.
MSNBC though is the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the
Joe Scarborough.
MSNBC is
The woman that died in his office.
Yeah, the intern, President.
Yeah.
Trump brought that up.
What's
in Joe's
what's
office.
that?
What was he talking too much?
In the 90s.
Yeah, but she was probably talking too much. I don't.
She was a young woman found dead.
Yeah. But we're not allowed to talk about it because
It's not like this can't be like in Godfather 2, right? Could and he used to be a.
Okay. Yeah.
You want a fiction? It could be like Godfather 2, but a little change of facts. He was a Republican congressman and fairly conservative. His parents were very conservative. He was really very conservative.
Where's he from?
From North Florida,
Oh.
the Panhandle, and his family gave me a fundraiser at a very nice restaurant there when I ran for president in 2007. And I remember the family was very conservative, and he was a teeny bit more of a Republican that leaned moderate.
Was he friendly with Trump then?
Oh God, it was friendly with me.
Yeah. Well, you're
Yeah,
Trump. You're your own
when Trump began running, they were very friendly. He and Mika too. They even went out a couple of times. Something personal happened between them. But I'm talking about how Joe switched to being a left winger. So I think maybe that girl. Remember the senator, right?
in Godfather 2, right?
Yeah, he couldn't
Killed the
stand
girl.
Vito Corleone.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, Hagen. And all of a sudden, he was their biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Well, he probably couldn't get a job with Fox, so he didn't really believe anything. So he believes what he believes now.
It's like Don Lemon. He wanted to be Trump's communications
And
director.
Smirkanish, who I know through my friend Jay Wallman, was more conservative than Rush Limbaugh. They didn't give him. Roger didn't hire him. Roger Ailes didn't hire him, and all of a sudden he becomes. For them, he's sort of moderate, I think. But things I hear him say, I say to myself, "This is not the guy I'm mad." Jesus,
They even believe some of the things that come out of their mouths. I'm like, they don't really believe that. Somebody wrote it in the teleprompter and they're just reading it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you know the answer. Some people,
Not stupid
some people
people,
are ju-
some of them.
well, some people are they aren't stupid at all. They're just greedy, and money means everything. And they just, you give me the money, I give you the words.
You go to health.
I'll say the words, and that's okay if it's just words. When you start to get into selling out your country, now they should send you somewhere else other than America. And these people are at the point now where it is so insidious that they're selling out their country. I mean, how about supporting the false Russian collusion story? The Russian, if I could ever write something long, have the time to do it, I think I could show you that if the Democrats didn't, if Hillary hadn't paid for the completely false created and fictional Russian collusion story, Ukraine would never have been invaded. That she did so much damage, forget Trump, but to the American-Russian relationship, which whatever you think of Russia is an enormously important one because we share the ability to destroy the world together. Of all the many, many crimes and things she's done, that could be the worst. Because remember, it wasn't even what you thought. It wasn't like they dreamed up something based on it. She paid for a very elaborate false story to take him out. It
It's a
backfired.
coup.
It backfired.
Yeah.
And then she used it for 2 years with every one of the corrupt Democrat congressmen
Yeah.
to take out a lawfully elected
Remember
president.
Schiff flying, or is it Aaron?
Shifty Schiff.
Shifty Schiff.
I've got the witnesses right here.
All right, now tell me about one other thing since I've been so tied up all week.
Well, it's good.
Tell me about the
Do
guy
this way.
burning, setting himself on fire.
Oh,
in New
well,
York.
this could be of course it's not a non-story, but this could be more or less
Like
just a weird story. Right now, he really looks like a mentally ill guy.
And did he use lighter fluid? Like what happened?
Yeah, he used very simple.
Accelerant.
Yeah, I think it might have been lighter fluid,
Yeah.
and he didn't seriously injure anyone else. The most interesting part of the coverage so far is one of the communist news reporters goes into a complete yelling, screaming 3 or 4 minutes, such that had she done that on 9/11, I had the police put her in a straitjacket and send her away. Like, throw her out. Will you get her out of here? I mean, it is like this woman does not belong covering a emergency. She was in a state of frenzy.
Oh, wow.
Complete. It was like 3 minutes of it was.
But is the guy going to be okay?
The guy is questionable. He's at the burn unit. Now, when I was mayor, there really was only one burn unit in Manhattan that was really worth it. And that was at New York Hospital, Cornell, right there near where I live. It is recognized to be one of the 4 or 5 best in the world.
Oh.
There are people in there from all over the world. I used to spend, when I was a young mayor, a new mayor, I spent probably every day, most of my first 50 days there, because I had a firefighter who was dying and I went to visit him every day because he loved me.
And you loved him.
Well, I just met his wife.
Police officer.
His wife told me, I didn't vote for you, Mr. Mayor. I'm a Democrat, but my husband did. And we used to fight over you all the time. And he really loves you. If you could just tell him you're here. And I did. And then I kept coming back and telling him I was there. But I thought it was the worst thing I'd go through with my fire department. I lost 3 firefighters that day. I was only a new mayor, 3 months. My uncle was a firefighter who I used to go to the hospital and see, so it has very emotional things in my head. And then, of course, I had September 11. I think you see pictures now of the guy being. Now, they say he's in critical condition. I may be completely wrong on this because I'm only going on little reports. I don't know. Or maybe I'm being hopeful. I think he's going to get through it. I mean, he might be in terrible shape. But I do know the miracles they do.
Yeah.
Captain Drennan, his name was. Captain Drennan's body, 80% burned. How is he living? Well, he lived until Easter. It was unbelievable.
I was going to say, there's really no coming back. There's so many
A
things
couple
that
came back
happen
from 50%.
physiologically. And then, of course, you worry with burn victims that they're, they swell up, they can't breathe on their own. That's why if you have anybody who has inhaled burns or anything, you proactively intubate because they may not be able to breathe afterwards.
Most of the hospitals in New York, deal with burns a lot because there are fires. But but we have created one that is superhuman.
Yeah.
And then we also have a major hyperbaric chamber up in the Bronx, and we use helicopters to get them there if it really is quick.
For sure.
Because that can put we brought about 4 or 5 firefighters through in the hyperbaric chambers and civilians. I don't know if any city in the world pays as much attention and puts as much emphasis on saving lives as New York, right down to the optimal response period, which is why Columbia traders are doing to us. I was maniacal about the following. You don't jam up my streets, because when I see you jamming up my streets, I see an ambulance that's going to get there in 10 minutes
You're talking about
instead.
lawful protests
Yeah.
on bridges.
Adams has them all over. How many
Yeah.
times have they taken over? Or
That upsets
Blasio used to put him in the street because he's so damn stupid.
that upsets me too. Now, if this is to distinguish between people who get a permit, so then the city can prepare and have alternate routes for emergency vehicles. And hey, if I'm going to work, for the people going to work or going out shopping, whatever, they can prepare. But to have spontaneous things where they shut down the traffic,
It's illegal.
somebody tell me,
It's a
why
crime.
aren't they being arrested?
Well, they always get arrested, and they get arrested late.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 of them happen, and then somebody like me or somebody else points out what useless, lazy, stupid, corrupt bums they are, and they do something about it. Look at the San Francisco
Yeah, the Golden
bridge.
Gate Bridge.
Half hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
wouldn't
mean,
tolerate that.
every public official,
Yeah, yeah,
who had the right to arrest those people should be fired.
Yeah.
They should start all over again.
I
Now, in New York, as I was a little bit fooled by my city because I still love it. I was so proud at the beginning because they were doing an excellent job of keeping the New York to Brooklyn roadway of the bridge open, and they would requiring them to walk on the walkway, which is perfect, fits in what you were saying. Doctor.
Yeah.
That's perfectly legal.
Yeah.
And if you want to do the second, you got to get a permit, but you'll never get it for rush hour.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to give it to you. And maybe Anger Moron or
Murphy.
the guy whose daughter is making millions off prosecuting Trump would do it, but any other judge of sane mind would not allow you to do that. I guess unless Biden called and said you have to do it, or the Democratic district leader who put him there told him to do it. But Democratic district leaders generally, they're more interested in power and money, not in jamming up streets. So they don't fix cases like that. So judges get to act like judges. And a lot of these judges in New York, when they get to act like judges, are smart people, which is the worst part of it, because when the Democratic boss who puts them there wants something, they act like dependent puppy dogs.
Yeah.
Dishonest, dishonorable, mean-spirited.
That's right.
Not all mean-spirited. That's not right.
Attracted to free thinkers.
This guy is worse. Please do not think that all New York judges are like him. Not all New York judges would deny a man the right to go to a Supreme Court argument on the most important case of his life. Not a lot of judges would deny a man, or even make him wait and have to kind of beg over going to see his child's graduation. Even the really crooked New York judges. There probably are some New York judges that are even more crooked than him, but they're probably not as mean as him.
Look cray too, like that Inga moron one. He looked crazy, showing his belly and sending out pictures. Yeah, and here's the law clerk. Don't say that. Get Trump.
It's like an SNL skit.
Yeah, could be so funny with Biden stuff, right? Like shoot materials, everything.
Done. They won't do it.
So that nobody watches.
How about would you consider it distasteful or really bad if you made now that it turns out to be totally false and a fiction of an insane president's mind that his uncle was eaten by cannibals? Would you consider it like distasteful if we started making jokes about it?
No, I wouldn't.
Things like were they leftovers?
There was no leftovers. What?
The cannibal story.
Maybe it was the leftovers.
I heard our political relations with New Guinea has plummeted now.
So here's what history says.
Racist. What a nasty guy.
He's always been a racist.
Yeah.
They wanted me to pick a black country too. I guess the guy was near New Guinea. But I bet that.
No.
No, come on, he is a. But he really is a racist, right?
He is. He's
So the
always been
fact that it
racist.
was near a black nation would make it more likely he'd buy it and believe it.
Yeah.
I won't send my kids to the jungle,
Yeah.
right?
Can I tell you something?
Obama
You
was the
said
first.
something-
Obama was the first clean black man to run for president.
Yeah.
Clean, articulated.
So I was watching this young lady. She's got this beautiful long hair, but she goes out on the streets. You know how these young kids do that, and they're so brave. But she was talking to another young lady saying, okay, give me an example about why Trump is racist. So the young lady gets all upset. No, I don't have. Somebody else can tell you. He is racist. He is racist. And she says, oh, you mean the time he said that if you go into 7-Eleven, you have to have an Indian accent? And the girl's like, yeah, that's right. Well, she holds up the thing, and it's Biden saying that. The same thing with
Yeah, one of the girls.
blacks in a jungle. Like, I don't want my kids going to school in the jungle. And they right away was like, yeah, Trump did say that. That was Trump. And they held up the video that
Did the
it's
girl-
Biden saying.
Did the girl respond?
Well, they kind of cut away. These are short little.
I'd love to see now. What do you think? Because they did that with the people who were hit with when Biden recently thought he went over the bridge on the by train many times for 30 years.
He's a truck driver, went to a black school, grew up in a Puerto Rican neighborhood.
No, this is the one where he went over on the train
I know.
over the bridge for 30 years, and the bridge has never had a train.
Right.
So people were told that, and they said, "Oh, he's an old man." Then they showed him pictures back in Europe, the ones you love because they come from New Hampshire, where he got caught lying his everything off, and not only stealing papers, but stealing Neil Kinnock's life.
Mhm.
And they said, "Oh my God, he shouldn't be president."
Right.
The fact that it was lifelong, and there's some wisdom to that actually.
Mm.
The fact that a guy, a couple of these are too much. But if you show people the ones we make fun of them for, and it only happened then, or even 2 times in 40 years, it's normal.
Mm.
Now, I don't think it's normal to think that you gave your uncle the Purple Heart with your father present who talked you into it.
Well,
And your father talked you into it 7 years.
That for
7 years after he was dead, and your uncle was given it 5 years after, according to you.
He has what's called delusions of grandeur, and this is way before the dementia. So it's not that the uncle got the Purple Heart.
Which he didn't, by the way. That's also not true.
Right. But say he did.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it matters that much. Yeah.
The story about an uncle that he's proud of. It's how he did it. He went up a mountain. He had to climb down on the battlefield.
There's one where he went up a tree he went up a tree.
He has
to give a medal.
Illusions of grandeur that I almost think he believes them all. Now, remember the way the people around him, the Biden family, the way they pump him up since he was a young senator. You're it. You're the man. You can accomplish anything.
They can get money from anybody.
You can get money from anybody.
And we need more, Joe.
Yeah.
You think Jill?
I think there's some mental illness, and I'm not trying to be funny now because sometimes I try to be funny because I'm such a cerebral person.
Try to be funny because it's really honestly hard to deal with. Seriously,
being funny here, I actually think there's some mental illness to Joe Biden.
Oh, I have no doubt about it. I think Joe Biden passes beyond dementia. He passes beyond being a pathological liar, which is a character defect and sometimes the symptom of a mental illness, but not yet defined as a mental illness all by itself. Although half the psychiatrists that voted on it think it should be. Interesting.
Yeah.
Some think it should be categorized as a mental illness, and some think it is the symptom almost always suggesting there is a mental illness.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We may be debating whatever. What we're debating is, if you get it defined as what it is, a mental illness, maybe you treat it more directly. Maybe you confront it and treat it. Because I imagine at a young age, when he was going around, cheating in law school, Remember the stories, not just the ones that everybody knows about plagiarizing 3 times as a student, which is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Remember the story I told you
Can't
that the
believe you're not
people
kicked out
people
for
in his class,
plagiarism,
the
but-
people in his class were afraid to be near him because he was cheating all the time
Yeah,
and they'd get
thought
caught.
that was a joke.
So well, I'm not sure it's a joke or not. It sounds to me like it's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a consummate dishonest.
I had,
Almost everything about him is dishonest.
I had kids, you know, growing up, being in high school, would ask me for an answer on the test. Sometimes I would pretend I didn't hear them if I thought I was going to get caught. But God forgive me, sometimes I felt so bad for them, I'd give them the
Yeah.
answer.
But you weren't at the Air Force Academy or at where they have the tough.
No, I didn't do the cheating, but I
no.
helped
Well,
them
even there,
by giving them the answer to a
even there
question.
they throw you out in the old days. Now they only throw you out if you don't fit the DEI categories. You know, you can even kill somebody. And if you fit the DEI categories, they'll keep you for a while longer, as long as you don't kill somebody else.
Tell you, we had a great guest on Uncovering the Truth last Sunday. She was a former combat helicopter pilot and also deputy defense something to some secretary. But she wrote a book about how our military is today, and they're not learning strategy. They're not keeping up with physical fitness. I'm scared. Well, we already know how little we're spending on our military, right? Reagan era was near 10%, and it kept coming down. It's around 3 to 4% now when the world is on fire. If anything, we need to invest in our military right now.
Can I ask you a question, because
You
you
may.
you missed this part of it too, and
Okay.
this story has, and all these stories for some reason really hit me hard, because I began saying that Biden was uh, mentally ill 5 years ago, and I look back on the evidence of it. It was there. It was there. That's when he told the story about Franklin Roosevelt, and that's when he told the story. The one we should have taken more seriously, really, the one about the little children touching the hair on his legs.
Oh, that's creepy.
Now, I'm sorry, that's not just a funny story. That's
Yeah.
a thoroughly perverted human being telling that story. That's a guy that shouldn't be near children. I mean, there really should be a protective order for him not being able to be near little girls, because what we put on last night would put him away.
Oh, did you do a
It would
montage?
put him away
last night?
for, yeah, it would get you a protective
Creepy
order.
Uncle Joe. There's all videos all over the internet.
I mean,
Creepy
the
Uncle Joe.
stuff he does with little girls is wackadoodle. And if you did just a plain survey without having to get too embarrassing of his perverted son's hard drive, or at least a piece that we have, more than half the pictures in the hard drive of women, even sexually provocative pictures, not necessarily nude, but sexually or of underage girls. The nude pictures were generally of girls over age, properly aged.
A lot of them were
In many
prostitutes,
cases, paid for. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
He'll even identify them for you.
except
Uh,
his poor sister-in-law there he was having an affair with. She's all over that.
Well, how about the niece that was afraid, that where the psychiatrist said you can't be near her? You're a danger to her. He denied it to his father.
Natalie.
Yeah, he denied it to his father, but then he said, I am a danger to the children. You go figure out what that means. I'll tell you what it means. It means something that they're going to hide. Like that. Even now, even the conservative stations hide it. Newsmax and Fox, they hide it. To me, when you look at what we had on last night, there's a picture that emerges of serious perversion. He can't get his hands off little girls.
Mm.
And there was one last night we showed where he pushed people over to get to the little girl.
Yeah.
And then half these little girls seem to sense it.
Yes.
They-
We have good spidey senses when creepy
They
people
get
come
they
around
get
us.
it.
That's
And then you get the disputed, and I'll say disputed, alleged, and not proven allegation that in the diary of the
FBI said it's a real thing.
in the diary of the daughter who is suing for, and getting somebody arrested for publishing the diary. It says, and I put emphasis on the following, among other things, that she admitted that it was regular for him when she was underage to take showers with her. Don't you go to jail for that if you have a shower with an underage girl?
Yeah.
Of course you do.
So
A grown man with an underage girl, you have a shower with an underage girl. I think they put you straight in jail to protect underage girls, unless you're the corrupt senator from Delaware. Now, is it true or not? I don't know. Does all the evidence surrounding him make it possible that it's true? Of course.
Hmm.
I mean, you couldn't have more circumstantial evidence that he's a pedophile. It's the the children like to play with the hair on my legs, and that's when I started to like children sitting in my lap. And then you have a daughter that says he takes me in the shower. Now, that is, I don't know if that's denied or not admitted. It has been admitted that it's her diary. It took 3 years to get
Yeah.
Hunter to admit that it was his. He's still,
he goes back and forth.
yeah, of course, he's suing me and the president and Costello for stealing his diary.
It's not like you wanted it. It was given to you because the
Wanted it.
gentleman who now had legal ownership of it, because on the contract that Hunter signed, it says if you don't pick it up within so many days, months, whatever it
We-
was.
Could-
But I have a question for you though,
I wanted to
because
play,
I know you're. Go ahead.
but no, get. I just have to remind Ted so we can get ready.
Okay.
I want to play the scratch the legs comment.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Is it here on this? Oh, no.
He's gonna. You wanted to say something. Meanwhile, I'm gonna get ready.
Okay. I
for my
heard
ritual.
Bill Barr came out and endorsed Trump. Is that a fake thing on internet?
He wrote a column today that I ignored because he's going to have to explain to me why he sat on the hard drive for a year
Bill Barr
and got
broke my heart, even though I never met him.
Trump framed
I trusted him, and he
and
broke my
somehow
heart.
doesn't take his name down from the list of attorneys general, because when you keep and you cover up relevant evidence, you shouldn't be attorney general and you shouldn't be a lawyer. I mean, he should be suspended, not me.
Yeah,
These are veggies. What are these?
fruits.
This is the best. This is the best, the best, 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 best. I'm not sure I'd be doing this show tonight if I didn't have anything. Dr. Maria.
Here, take a pill.
Balance energy.
Balance of Nature. You know this more than anyone, Ted. Is it balanceofnature.com?
It's balance.
Oh, you need water?
Balanceofnature.com and promo code Rudy.
Oh, I'm looking.
How about Diet Coke?
Actually, everything you've seen tonight, qux.tv, if you've seen that, code Rudy. My Pillow, look at My Pillow, American made products under my store. Coming up next week, I'm going to be showing you some new products from Mike Lindell. mypillow.com/Rudy. GiveSendGo.com/Rudy. If you want to help him out, because he's never done a thing wrong in his life when it comes to crime and the way they're persecuting him. We need to fight back. And if you can give $5, GiveSendGo.com/Rudy. And what else do we got that we're sponsoring? QUX.tv,
Balance of Nature.
Balance of Nature,
T2T.org.
T2T.org, favorite organization. And I think we're good.
Here they are. These are the three to remember for now until we hit next week. It's the weekend, so you have plenty of time. Can they see that? First one says Balance of Nature. You got to put a .com after it and a /Rudy. The second one says T2T.org
Tunnel to Towers.
/Rudy, if you want. And then the third one, QUX.com /Rudy.
Right.
All right.
QUX.tv, I think it is.
Oh,
It's different. It's not the .com.
lucky they gave it to me, huh?
Yeah.
QUX.
You want to save a lot on your cable bill? Just check them out. Trust me on that. QUX.tv.
And in New York, you can get OAN.
Promo code Rudy.
Yeah.
RUDY.
So as we're wrapping up, what was he asking you to show, Ted? Oh, you can't.
I
find
want to
it?
show, I want to,
Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
show,
yeah.
I want to show the beginning of the analysis that there should be a protective order keeping away from underage girls.
Oh, you don't have to do that, he said.
Oh, no,
That's why he
president,
doesn't want you making a mess, Rudolph.
president or no president, this guy,
Can we play it?
yeah, president or no president, this guy should not be allowed to be near little girls. I'm sorry. I know many go to the White House. Many, and including my son.
Ready? We'll play a clip.
Okay, let's play it.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. And I tell you what.
So crazy.
This
And
is,
what's roaches got to do with your hairy legs getting all curly again? I like
that's when he ran for president. That's before you selected him.
not me,
If
please.
Enough of you people had taken that seriously, about
There was so much
about
cheating in the
300,000
2020
people in
election.
Ukraine to be alive today. Now think about that. I know some of you people that are afflicted with Trump derangement syndrome and watch this show
About Trump.
hoping I'll commit suicide, here. Tell me how you resist that argument. That's not a sane person saying that.
No, it's
Do you, and if you know someone, if you do know someone who really loved little children touching the hair on his legs and loved having them in his lap, would you please report them to somebody?
Mhm.
Because look at the damage that this animal has done.
Like, all right, we used to be appalled someone smoking marijuana, right? Now it's so accepted, still illegal in my state, but it's so accepted,
Police
no one
against-
gets appalled, right? We used to get appalled if somebody stole a pack of gum
You know,
because it wasn't theirs. Now we allow them to steal up to $900, at least in California. So you see what we're doing to society? We're losing our moral compass. We are no longer shocked that, or holding somebody like Mayorkas, Kirby, any of them, Merrick Garland, Biden, accountable because it's our party. They've glorified their party as a god. It is the sickest thing that could have happened to our country.
well, we saw it happen, Maria.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking like this 5 years ago. So, but I mean, the reality is, I don't think we ever thought it would get this bad.
Right. I think we always
We
Like-
always talked about it almost as if it was fiction.
we have disagreements, but I think I can say you and I agree on that we always believe good will conquer evil, right?
Yeah, when Sid first called me, Sid first called me the day after the attack, and he said he had already, I think, put out a tweet, and he said to me, Mayor, I think it was planned. I said, Sid, before we even start this conversation, I just want to record something for history. If you told me that 5 years ago, loving you, I would get off the phone, I call a psychiatrist I know and send him over to talk to you, to help you. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is, what evidence do you have?
Yeah.
And then he made a very compelling case. Now, here's the interesting thing. He made a compelling case.
He's not
that
the only one who thought that.
I don't think I can prove it.
Yeah.
I know I could prove beyond any case I ever won in court that Joe Biden is a 35 to 40-year master criminal who has taken more money in bribes than any American historical figure ever. And I doubt that anyone will exceed it.
Right.
This man has been purchased and bought so much by foreign governments, some of which are enemies. There's no man left.
Right.
When you do that, his brain went somewhere when he was left back in the third grade. And then when he started cheating in law school, his soul went when he took the first bribe.
Yeah.
Because the first one is the worst one, believe it or not, even if it's $20.
Yeah, of course.
It's very much the same as the broken windows theory. Gosh, I learned that with the Knapp Commission. You got to stop them from the early bribes. If you don't, boy, a lot of them won't go any further. A lot really have a limited amount of dishonesty. I don't know. I'm not going to call it normal, but a limited amount. But some people can go all the way. That's what I used to think of marijuana. I always thought of marijuana. I never prosecuted a marijuana case per se. I prosecuted dealers who brought in marijuana along with other things.
Mm.
But I always thought it was rather benign. I didn't know scientifically how to combat the evidence. It's no worse than drinking.
Right.
So I actually always thought it was worse than drinking, but I never felt I could prove it.
Yeah.
And I always thought it's sort of like how I never accepted climate change or global warming. I accept pollution because I think the universe is too big for climate change for us to affect it. And because I had so many cases with the river in which one Robert Kennedy Jr. would exaggerate hysterically the effect of iodine on the river. And you'd want to take him and throw him in the river and say, look, I put all your iodine in the river right here. It's gone here. Or when Katrina took place and they said you wouldn't be able to use New Orleans for 35 years. They're using it now.
Yeah.
Because the ocean is so big. The ocean is big. The universe is on an order of magnitude that you can't even imagine because you're not God. But there's the rub. Read Marx. Marx holds out to them the same thing a serpent did. You get rid of God and you're God. You know more than God. All that just a big hoax to try to enslave you. You know more than God. You know. John Kerry knows more than God. Look, he wouldn't be so weird looking if he didn't. Look at John Kerry. I mean, he looks like a total weirdo because he knows more than God. That's the whole thing at the bottom of it. And what I'm saying, I know sounds like a little bit like science fiction. Marx devotes a whole set of chapters to that, and a whole big portion of his life was somewhat satanic. So when you see these satanic cults that are growing up, there's a Marxism core to that too. And of course, where should Satan be but on the side of the ideology that has destroyed more people than any other ideology that we know of? Getting pretty close to 100 million Chinese killed by their own people. We don't count the number of people the Chinese kill who aren't their people. They did a pretty good job in Cuba of wiping out people. They do it in Venezuela now. Russia, Stalin, argument. Did Stalin kill more than Hitler? Did Hitler kill more than Stalin? The numbers are so great, it's not worth the debate.
Yeah.
All of these isms do come from Satan, and they have taken over our country. We are now a Marxist country. By every indicator you could have, the biggest one we're seeing every day on our newspapers and across the world is we have a corrupt judicial system. What that means is the judge that you see featured today from New York is a corrupt human being and judge.
And where are you, New York Bar Association?
Going-
Why aren't the good lawyers writing letter
Going
after
after me, you're framing.
letter?
You're doing exactly what you bunch of dishonorable suck up creeps do. You're going after me, framing me the way
You've done nothing.
you frame Trump, and letting people go free who are destroying the American system of law.
Yeah.
That guy sitting on that bench is destroying the American system of law.
Fixed it all.
And he's also destroying the confidence the American people have in judges.
That's right.
If I were
That's
a
exactly
judge,
right.
I would organize a protest,
I know. That's
and
what
I'd
I'm
bring
saying.
all the judges to New York and ask him to get the hell out. Get the hell out of my profession, because
About that with the teachers. Why aren't the teachers yelling when the schools were closed down?
I don't know, because we always have to say,
Healthcare yell about the mRNA injection, and what happened to them? They were threatened, their jobs, some lost their board certifications.
it's because we're
crazy.
nice people and we try to let people off the hook. We say things like, most teachers are wonderful. Only a few take advantage, and even less molest children and beat them up, and except we then have to keep them for 5 years. Or we'll say it isn't really New York's fault that they keep electing crooked Democrats for 150 years. It's something about the Democratic Party or Chicago or substitute Philadelphia. How about we got to get to putting the responsibility where it belongs? What the hell is wrong with you having voted for Adams? What are you, crazy?
Or Biden.
The guy was a useless cop, never arrested anybody. He ran a fake activist organization complaining about the police. And if you listen to him carefully, you realize he's intellectually not there. De Blasio was a communist.
Yeah.
He went to on his honeymoon. Who goes to the honeymoon in Cuba? He helped the Sandinistas against Ronald Reagan. He couldn't get a security clearance. Even when there was a Democrat administration, they wouldn't give him a security clearance because he's such a damn communist. The president of the United
How did
States
Biden get a security clearance?
shouldn't have one.
Everybody knew.
Not what a
about China.
communist.
Everybody.
When Hunter Biden tells you my partner is the spy chief of China, he immediately goes down on the CIA list as you don't associate with the man.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's got him on Air Force One, and he's got all of those documents for which he's not indicted, but Trump is. He's got them in his right in front of him in his house.
How about the new information that we know that January 6th, Nancy Pelosi had her hand in it, Antifa had her hand in it. Now we know the FBI for sure, right? Now they're saying the CIA.
Who ran the CIA?
Brennan.
Even though it was Trump's CIA at that point, Brennan was still in there.
That guy looks.
I don't
like
think
the
he ever
devil.
took. I don't think
I'm
he ever.
telling you, my spidey senses go up about that guy.
I'm not sure he took his carpets out of the extra room.
Yeah,
Ever.
that's what they said when they cleared out his office.
I don't know if
Had-
it's true. Somebody
prayer-
told me that. Somebody.
Yeah, I heard it.
If
too.
you want to make an issue out of it, I think they'd come on and tell you.
Just to circle back to what Dr. Maria brought up earlier, Bill Barr is saying he will support the Republican ticket in November.
Okay, so it's not really saying,
Trump,
but it's because he did already win the number.
Yeah, so he's saying Biden is still more
I'm
dangerous.
gonna tell you that means that there's something left of Bill Barr, meaning guilt.
Let's get him right here. Let's put him.
And he doesn't want Trump to go after him when Trump.
No. I'm actually willing to admit that it's guilt. Trump wouldn't go after him. Well, you'd have to have the proof. Right now, there's so much proof of people to go after. You're going to be tied up just doing that.
Just doing that.
I mean, there are a couple of people that really, if you want to play by the old rules for 1 year, like but we can just put him in jail. You go to jail, and we'll talk about a trial later. No, of course we don't want that. I want one thing. I want to get to cross-examine Biden. I want to ask him about what the view was like when he went over the bridge on the train that didn't exist. That must have been a hell of a view, right? Or exactly what it was like pinning the Medal of Honor on his uncle 7 years after he was dead, when his uncle never got a Medal of Honor. What was that like? How did it feel? And when he pinned it on him, was there actual material there, or it was like when these ghost stories where you go like that and there's nothing there, stuff like that, or how about we do a little follow-up on the children taking care of the hair on his legs? Maybe we find out how often that happened, and did it happen every day? And did he ever get particularly friendly with them?
Lying that he never even knew Hunter's business associates, but yet there's logs that they visited him when he was VP. There's pictures of him with some of them. Yeah.
But he can count on the corrupt.
He could tell the truth if his life depended on it.
A lot of it also is bad training, meaning he got reinforced when he. Yeah. When I first put out that he was taking bribes from Ukraine, which is so long ago now, it's really amazing. I could see immediately the press. The press was lining up every fatuous, phony excuse possible. And he had a tremendous confidence they would stick with him because he sent out a letter to keep me off television.
I wish I'd kept that.
I can get it for you. I have it.
You do? Oh, good.
He sent out a letter keeping me off television.
Yeah.
Which they.
He's not president yet.
No.
Yeah.
Just announced.
Yeah.
But he wanted me off television, purportedly because I'm a liar. Now, if I'm a liar and a really bad one, right? Aren't I the person you want on television? Put me on every day and you can make a big splash against Trump, right? Giuliani comes on again and lies again. Boom. Giuliani comes on again and lies again. Boom. Like Biden, like we did with Biden. They're not going to keep off the air someone who's bad for him. They're going to keep off the air somebody who's beating the living daylights out of them.
Well, thank you for having
Well,
me
thank you,
on.
Doctor. It's nice to be in your hometown and in the
I'm
great state of New Hampshire.
happy.
We'll have a great day looking around tomorrow, taking some. They say in Brooklyn, we'll take some pictures. We'll take some pictures tomorrow with the new camera we got.
For what?
Yeah, my new lens. We'll take some pictures with my new lens.
So we're gonna pick up some cold cuts or what?
Or what? Well,
I had.
maybe not this trip, but next time you guys come back, I want to take you to the Milliard
Oh,
Museum.
we've been talking about the
Yeah.
museum. And
Yeah.
for some reason, she thinks I'm not gonna like it.
If it rains tomorrow, maybe we will. But remember,
Yeah.
remember, Dr. Maria and I have to be rested for Sunday morning, Uncovering the Truth, the best show on Sunday, and the second best is Andrew Giuliani's show in the afternoon. But we'll mention that on Sunday.
Okay.
WABCRadio.com. Also, you can get the app. So much easier if you do that.
77.
It's for free. For free. You just go on your app store, put WABC.
Free
Does it-
9.
Doesn't cost anything, does it?
Yeah, free 99. That's a joke.
I
Free.
thought you said tree 99.
$3.99. No,
Oh.
Like in Brooklyn, they say tree. Tree, yeah, tree is. Yeah.
According to
Having once done a study of that, you're going to find that Manhattan accents borrow a lot from Celtic,
But it is different. I'm noticing being in New York.
and the Brooklyn accent borrows a lot from Italian and Yiddish.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a difference.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good
all
night.
of you. God bless America. I pray every night to God, and I only ask for one thing: that He deliver this great country.
Amen.
Um,
Amen.
you did the same thing. God bless America. Is to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. It was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given